Good morning. I would like to bring this December the 6th meeting of the Planning and Advisory Commission to order. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would like to remind those in the audience and those watching on television that this is the first reading of any rezoning or special exception request brought before us today. We will first hear a reading of the staff report for the case, and we will ask the applicant to provide a brief overview of the request. We will then give the opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak for or against that request, and then the commissioners will have any needed discussion and vote. They will render a recommendation to the City Council. It will be sent back to the Planning Division for review and then forwarded on to City Council, who will hear the request 2 more times before rendering a final decision. We do have minutes to bring forward. I know that those were sent out to you all earlier in the week, minutes from the November 15th meeting, and we can submit these as accepted unless any of the commissioners have any changes or additions that need to be made. Anyone? No? All right, well, we will submit those as accepted then. Thank you, Mr. Harrod. We'll jump right into our agenda. We've got our first case today, which is REZN-11-17-2181. And this is a request to amend the zoning atlas of the Columbus Consolidated Government. Easter Seals West Georgia, Inc. of Columbus, Georgia, has submitted an application for 2591 Double Churches Road. This is parcel number 073-016-014. The current zoning is SFR1, which is single-family residential 1, and the proposed zoning is RO residential office. The property is located in Council District 2, Davis. Mr. Harrod, if you'll read the staff report.
Thank you. Applicant is Easter Seals West Georgia Incorporated. Owner is the same. Location is 2591 Double Churches Road. Acreage is 2.043 acres. Current zoning classification is single-family residential. Proposed zoning is residential office. Is currently a vacant property. Proposed use is adult special needs facility. General land use is consistent. It is in planning area A. Current land use designation is general commercial. Future land use designation is mixed use. It is compatible with existing land uses. There are no environmental impacts. All city services are provided. The traffic impact is going to be 27 average annual daily trips, and the level of service will remain the same at level C. There are no traffic engineering concerns. There is no school impact. The buffer requirement is category C for SFR1. There were 34 property owners that were notified. We had no calls or emails from them. The additional information is this is an expansion to the current Easter Seals facility that is next door to it.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions regarding the staff report? All right, well, if the applicant will please come forward, and if you will state your name and address and give us a brief overview or any other information that might be.
Personal address?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I'm Sharon Borger. I'm the CEO at Easter Seals West Georgia. My address is 165 Greenridge Court, Catala, Georgia. And thank you for allowing us to be here, and we're really excited about this. As you said, it's an expansion of our current facility and our current program, I would say. Currently, we are right behind where this property is on Double Churches Road at 2515 Double Churches Road, and we have a children and adult program together. What this new facility will do will allow us to move the adults to the new facility so that they will have their own place, and we will be able to more than double that program. We will also be adding in that facility a behavioral support program, as well as our supported employment program will go in there as well. So it's going to be a lot of new and expanded programs for individuals with disabilities over 18 to 21, and we'll be able to serve about, 160 in the adult day program, and then supportive employment and the behavioral support program is kind of wide open. A lot of that will be out in the community, so it won't really be impacting the location and the traffic, but we'll have our housing there, and we'll be able to do that program. So, and then we'll be able to do some renovations later to the current facility and add an autism program for children 18 months to 5 years, as well as very much needed expansion of our after-school program because we are overflowing. And so it's been a great opportunity to work for Easter Seals. I've been there for, I'm in my 26th year. We started at Cellar Circle, which is no longer there, went to Brown Avenue, and then in 2000 moved to our current facility. So we're very thankful and just love the idea that we're going to be able to serve more folks in our community.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions for the applicant, Mr. Harrod?
Just wanted to say, they did ask for a couple variances to be looked at in this case. Let me go ahead and read those variances just so that we're aware of them.
Sure.
And you guys can pass them if you so choose. The first variance is for parking requirements in the UDO from 38 spaces to 79 spaces. In addition to client requirements, spaces are needed for administration, staff, and vendor parking. The second one is a reduction in the rear yard setback from 40 feet to 20 feet. The adjacent property is owned by the applicant, and so they're just asking to reduce that.
Okay.
Then the third one is a reduction in the side buffer requirements for the category C from 10 feet, and they're talking about option 2 in the staff report, from 10 feet down to 6.5 feet in length for approximately 100 feet.
And on the side buffer, like I get the back one because it's buffering their own land. On the side, I'm assuming not.
It's buffering the adjacent parcel that is currently zoned single-family residential.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that added information. Commissioners, Mr. Kenner.
Yeah, could you point out on the drawing where this 100-foot distance is, this 100-foot length?
Do we need to put the drawing? Yeah. Okay, never mind. Yeah.
It's right in there? Okay, all right.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Mr. Brandon?
Have y'all discussed with the adjacent property owner this shortened buffer on that side?
Yes.
And they're okay with it, I'm assuming?
Yeah. We will have an easement with them because it's an egress and all. There's some different things with that, so we are in conversation with them all the time, and we're working on that egress.
So there's actually some easement there for, y'all need to use it for traffic or something?
Right, because they actually now come in our regular driveway and then turn right to go to their facility. That will continue.
Okay.
And so we've had to make some adjustments and work with them for that so that they have access and using some of their property for parking as well and everything. So we're working together well to get that together. So I don't think that there was ever any issue. Larry, do you want to mention it?
Well, I'll call for the audience for or against in a moment, but, you know. Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, okay. Any other questions for the applicant from the commissioners? Mr. Reese?
Just for quick clarity on the record, the code requires 10, but they're asking to utilize the 6.5 that's already there?
No,
They're asking that it be
reduced.
down to 6.5.
Reduced, okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah.
Mr. Bollinger?
Can you explain why that 3.5 feet? I mean, what's the purpose of that 3.5 feet?
Yeah, just, if you'll just
I mean-
state your name and address for us.
I think we're all in question of it.
Hi, Larry French with French and Associates, Columbus, Georgia, 1425 3rd Avenue. The variance there is for the curb. We have a grading easement along that area, and the curb and gutter is sitting about 6.5 feet from back of curb to the property line. But there's a triangular piece of their property that goes up, and it's a drainage way, a natural drainage way, and they could really never use that area, and it's heavily wooded now. And it's going to remain heavily wooded, so that's why we're requesting a slight reduction right there, is to fit we want to move the building a little bit further away to lower the height of a retaining wall that's on the north side of the site.
Okay, thank
But
you.
we're going to treat that area as well, and we'll have plantings, and we'll meet the requirements of the planting requirements. It's just going to be in a smaller area, but then we still have all the buffer that's existing there that will remain in perpetuity for all practical purposes, so.
That's helpful.
Thank
Helpful info. Any other questions for the applicant?
So, sir, what you're saying, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
The building is not actually going to abut this buffer?
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay.
It's the parking side. I mean, if, I don't know if I can use this at all, I'll probably just show you just as easy to walk right over. The reduction in the variance is occurring right here.
Mr. French, can you add, I was say, we need to get you on mic. I'll do it. Yeah, we just have to get you on mic
Thank you, I was
since we're.
looking in the wrong area.
And this entire area right here is going to remain treated. This is a very narrow slither of area right here. If you have the setbacks on it, you could never build.
Okay, so let's
And
take a
this
look
is a
at what's
piece of-
up on the screen, because we've got to get this actually on television. So, that's the section they're asking for, to shorten the,
And it's only going to occur along that particular property line, and the dark area that's shown on the plan in green there, that's existing dense vegetation now, mostly trees. And there's a small drainage way.
we're going to have to get, I hate to do this, but you've got to get on mic. We have to have it recorded. I mean, that mic is live, I need you to,
Anyhow, that area is going to remain treated.
Okay.
If they were to ever want to build in that,
Uh-huh.
the setbacks would basically render it non-usable.
Gotcha.
From the owner, so.
Can you slide the map up so to be clear? Sir, I need you to, if you don't mind, just step so you can provide clarity for us.
here's a handheld, well, maybe not. There we are, handheld mic, there you go, thank you so much.
So the dark area that we see here, that's someone else's property?
That's correct. That's correct.
And what about the parking lot right below that? Whose property is that?
That's
Right.
joint use. To the far right belongs to the adjacent owner, and then to the left would be the Easter Seal property.
That's in the attachment that I gave you guys. That
Yeah.
is the shared use parking agreement.
Right, that's the one she was just discussing.
Yes.
That area is drainage?
There's a low-lying natural drainage way that discharges through that green area there that's wooded, that will remain in place.
Could someone conceivably build something there?
No, sir.
No? Okay, all right.
If you impose the setbacks from the zoning ordinance on that piece, it basically, they would almost overlap.
Exactly.
I got you. All right, well, that made it a lot clearer. Thank you so much.
Mr. Kenner.
Yeah, while you're still there, the request is made for going from 38 to 79 parking spaces. Now, there's shared parking. Can you point out where the 79 spaces are, and do the 79 spaces include the shared parking? Yes, sir. The 79 is the total parking count, and the shared parking is in this area right here. Okay. All right.
Mr. Brannon.
To point out now that I'm looking at a full picture, it's actually, you're not actually abutting any, is there any housing right there? It's just the church?
That's right.
And now an Indian temple that's right
Yeah,
next
the
door.
worship
So we're
center.
not,
Right,
abutting a residential property.
Right.
that-
To the east is the Indian Cultural Facility, and to the west is the post office.
Right,
Okay, that helps a lot too.
yeah. There's no single-family
And
dwellings.
it's actually our parking lot and their parking lot
Right.
together.
There's no,
So it's
just
not
so,
even a building.
yeah, there's no single-family dwellings that we're talking about here. Commissioners, any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, guys. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against this request? Please come forward. I see no one. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of it? All right, no one is coming forward. Do I hear a motion? Mr. Brandon?
In the case of REZN-11-17-2181, applicant Easter Seals of West Georgia, Inc., owner Easter Seals of West Georgia, Inc., property being 2591 Double Churches Road, a request to rezone the property from SFR1 to RO with the variances as requested for parking, reducing a rear setback to co-owned property, and reducing a side buffer requirement from 10 feet to 6.5 feet. Because it is consistent with general land use, I move that we adopt this report.
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand. It is unanimous that it will pass. So we will send that with a recommendation to be approved. And just on a sidebar, thank you so much for what you and your organization do for hundreds of families in this area. I've had an opportunity to be in some forums where you can actually hear from families that are greatly impacted by what you do, and it's a phenomenal service, and I'm excited that you're growing. Sad in a way that you have to, but glad that you're able to. So thank you again for serving our community. I do want to make a note or acknowledge the fact that we recently lost a former member that we loved dearly here. Those of you who follow us may know that Mr. Frank Etheridge had resigned from the commission after serving not just the Planning and Advisory Commission, but our city for decades. A phenomenal leader in our community, and sadly he passed away a few days ago and had his funeral Monday. So I just felt like we needed to acknowledge that and know that the Etheridge family is obviously in our thoughts and our prayers. And it's a very sad day for our city when we lose a citizen like that. And Frank was a dear friend to many of us and served this commission very well and very faithfully, and served our citizens well. So I didn't want to adjourn without acknowledging that. Is there any other information you have for us, Mr. Harrod?
That's it. At your next meeting, I'll be bringing forth the new schedule.
Okay.
And then we'll also, by Friday, I'll have to you a update on cases that have passed us and that have been forwarded on to council.
Okay, wonderful. Well, that's all we have.
What's the next meeting date?
Our next meeting date is January the 3rd,
Okay, thank you.
2018.